All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to you wherever you are. This is Marsha Kerr, Talley, and I'm just here to share my perspective on life and how it is stranger than art itself. So anyway, I was watching this series on Amazon Prime recently. It's called Behind the Veil, and it kind of goes through the storyline of different women, and from a married woman to a single woman to a woman that just got married, and just several layers of these women backstory and how it intertwines and all of those things. As I was watching the stories of these women unfold on screen, I saw myself in a few of the characters and at different phases of my life, I should say. So there wasn't one character that I was like all the way that person, but I could identify with all the women at different phases of my life. But there was one character I was definitely a little bit more judgmental towards. And I really had to assess myself because I realized the older I get too, I'm a little judgy. I am a little judgy. And I have noticed that while I was watching her on screen, that I became like, girl, what you doing? Are you dumb? Like, I was saying these things to this character. Like, how did you not see that coming? Like, where were you? Like, all of us could see it. How comes you did not see that's what was going to happen? And as I'm talking like this to this character, which is really talking to myself, I realized that one of my issues is I have been through similar situations. I've been in situations with people, with guys especially, because for whatever reason, men and friends, they leave an impeccable or indelible, I should say, indelible mark on our lives, ones that we have to kind of work through for years to come. And so I'm sitting there and I'm really reflecting on me. I'm really reflecting on the times in my life where I just overlooked the signs. And after the things unfold and the things are revealed, and let's be clear, not all the time is everything revealed to you, right? You just know something is off. Sometimes enough is revealed to you for you to know this is not it. I need to walk away from this. This is not good for me. But as I'm watching this girl, I'm like, yeah, how did you not know? How did you not see this happening? How did you walk right into this? I thought you had a master plan. I thought you were going to get into this and you were going to do something to dude and you were going to get out of it and you were going to win. Because, that's how movies work. But in the real world, when we are really dealing with ourselves and we're dealing with people, we actually put ourselves in situations that later on, either we judge ourselves for it, we judge other people for doing it, or we look back and we say, OMG, how did I allow myself to do that? And no, I'm not going to allow myself to do it again. And so, yeah, I'm watching her and I'm all these other steps and I'm thinking, yep, Marsha, you did that. And even this morning, I got up and I'm reflecting on it. And yeah, you did that. And one of the things you have to do when you recognize you have made some silly mistakes, you've made some choices that have put your life and livelihood at risk. You first have to recognize it and acknowledge that you did that, but you also have to forgive yourself. And then you have to do things to rectify what you've done to yourself and how it may have even affected other people. One of the things some of us have to do is to cleanse ourselves from social media right now. And that's one of the things I'm constantly working on, unplugging for a season because I have to work on me. And over the last week, I've noticed that. I've noticed there are things that are coming up that I dealt with. I've actually dealt with those things. I'm not even going to say I thought I dealt with them. I actually dealt with them. Things that are coming up that I healed from. I've healed through. But they're still showing up in some type of way and they're still creating a trigger, which means it's telling me that there's still room for growth and improvement. There's still room for development and healing. There's still room for recovery. And that I have to take my recovery very well. Like, I have to take it seriously. Seriously enough to the point where I have to understand, yeah, this is my life and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to do things. But here's where I have to draw the line. I cannot do things that I know will create traumatic incidents. I can't do things that where I've seen these, because see, this is the thing. I believe life is very cyclical, where things occur in cycles. So you may have been through something in one phase of your life and it shows up in another. And I believe it's to help you see how far you've grown. How much have you gained from the last experience? Are you going to repeat the same mistakes? It's just like when you're on a test and you're practicing for that test and you find yourself choosing the wrong answers every time. At some point, you have to go, whoa, I did not learn this, because if I learned this, then I wouldn't keep choosing the wrong answer. Or there's something fundamentally amiss where you disagree with the answer and you think there should be another outcome. And I realized that from myself practicing for tests, for things that I'm doing at the moment, is when I keep choosing the wrong answers and making the wrong choices, even though the phases I've come around a few times, and I keep making the same choices, it's telling me one of two things, and sometimes both things are true. One, I didn't really learn the lesson. Like, I need to go back and study what I missed. There is something there that I didn't quite get. I didn't quite understand. So I'm still viewing the situation in a light that is causing me to get the same outcome, which is a wrong answer, which is a negative outcome. Or it's because fundamentally I disagree that what they're saying the answer should be, it should be the answer. And sometimes I find myself, and those two things are true, where I'm saying, well, in this situation with this guy, that it should be different because he's younger. He is from a different country. He's in a different profession. I'm at a different phase in my life. Surely the outcome should be different. So even though I have had this test question before, even though I have seen these same signs before, even though all of this has shown up in a different cycle before, this time the answer should be different. And so I choose the same answer again, the same wrong answer. And sometimes it's not the same wrong answer, because when you're doing multiple choice, one of them is right, of course, but two of them are always quite similar. Two of them is just outlandish. It's an absolute no. But two of them are always quite similar. And from those two, you have to choose the best answer for that scenario, or the right answer. Because sometimes it's really up to that situation or the best case scenario. And then there are other times where it's black and white. This is the answer. Either way, this is the answer. How do you get to the answer? The process of getting to the answer may differ, but this is the answer. And so I had to pay attention to that. And over the last week, I have noticed that there are certain similarities, which is giving me a refresher of my philosophical belief that life is cyclical, that it happens in cycles and phases, and you are going to see some of the same situations you've been through before, you're going to see them again. But how you deal with them when they come around again makes all the difference. It's a moment of grace. It's a moment of redemption. It's a moment of you saying to yourself, I learned that lesson. Forgive me for not getting it right the first time, but I did some work to get better at it, to pass this and pass on to the next level this time around. Because I think each time these cycles show up, it's given us an opportunity to graduate, if you will, to the next phase of our lives. And sometimes we're stuck in the same cycle, the same phase, and it's because we haven't quite learned the lesson, or it's because we're not quite aligned with what the lesson is, what we're supposed to learn from it, what we're supposed to gain from it. We still have a fundamental disagreement. So we are misaligned with our inner selves. We're having a conflict with our inner selves, and we are not able to ascend to the next step, next stage. So when those people show up, when those circumstances show up, it's not to get you into a place of anxiety or depression or frustration or discouragement. It is actually an opportunity to help you graduate to the next phase of your human experience. It's an opportunity. And so instead of feeling terrible about it, instead of pushing it away or feeling resentful or having resentment towards the people or the circumstances that show up, perhaps we should consider embracing the situation. And by embracing, I'm not saying that means you accept the wrong decisions, that you accept doing things you know you shouldn't do, that you accept people to speak to you anyway, that you accept the same situations and you just stay there. No, what I am saying is embrace the opportunity to learn from this, pass the test, so you can ascend to the next phase of your human experience. That's what I'm saying. Instead of rejecting it, instead of wondering, why me? Instead of getting overwhelmed by this showing up, embrace the opportunity to see yourself. See parts of you that still have holes, parts of you that still needs healing, parts of you that need the recovery, parts of you that still needs discipline. Because some of our troubles are created because of our lack of discipline. Our indiscipline have taken us into places that we should not have returned. We know we shouldn't go back there. We know we shouldn't entertain that. But our indiscipline. It's also an opportunity to question our values. What is most valuable to us? Does companionship mean more to us than the virtue of a person? Meaning, do you prefer just being with someone because you're with someone because there is a body there? Then you are concerned about the character of the person, how they treat you, how you feel when you're in their presence and when you leave. There are so many things, different circumstances show us about ourselves. And I think in those moments, we have to embrace that. And it's not always easy to do that in the moment because we are feeling beings. We're sentient beings. We feel and we should. So in the moment, we are overwhelmed at times with our emotions. We're overwhelmed at times with the lingering fog or residue of past experience, the lingering. We're overwhelmed at times by the trigger. The triggers, we didn't even know it was going to come up. We don't know what's triggered us. We don't know. But in those circumstances around these people, it's an opportunity to hold a mirror up to ourselves and see who we are, because there are times where we're absolutely certain that I'm okay. I've dealt with this before. I got this. I am completely healed. That is never going to bother me again. And we are so confident. And then someone shows up, something happens, and we are flabbergasted because we are wondering, how did I get back here? Well, it's not because you didn't pass the test the last time. necessarily. Sometimes it is because of that. But I think sometimes it's just giving us another opportunity. When I think about the testing system in the US, in Texas specifically, the most recent state test that we did or do is the STAR test. And each grade level have a different STAR test, and it tests you on different things. And I think about the UK standardized testing here too, and how they test. Now, my daughter is currently just doing GCSEs. This is actually our final week. Oh my gosh, my baby. Final week in secondary school. And so she's been tested, and they do tests on not just different subjects, but different areas. So one subject may have several papers to test over different areas of that subject. So in the States, I think when we just do English, we do English language and English literature or biology and so on. But here they have different papers to test different areas. I think it's similar, but very different in how they execute it. The point I'm making is sometimes it's not that you didn't pass the last test or that you didn't do well on the last test. The tests are independent, but they are a whole. So they're testing different parts of you. So think of life as this constant, because sometimes I'm like, what is life, But it's this constant appraisal, if you will, of where you are right now and are you ready for the next step? And so you have an opportunity to take tests or assessments. Assessments, I kind of like the word assessments. To take assessments because it shows you how far you've come, how much you've gained, and where you still need improvements. So you're assessed in one area and you do well in it. And it could be the same subject. But there's another area of that subject that you still need a little work on. So every time those assessments show up, it's an opportunity to show you where you need to work on. So for me, let me break it down this way. For me, one of the things I know that I am constantly being assessed on is my romantic relationships. It's also my familial relationships, and it's also my friendships. I know that to be true because of the frequency in which situations occur that gives me an opportunity to see where I've grown and where I still need to grow. So I know there's some people, I'm not as concerned about business as much as I am concerned about my romantic life, my familial life, and my friendships. And so there are constantly assessments. They're constantly appraisals, if you will. And so for me, as I'm speaking to you, I'm recognizing what's happening. Now, that does not mean I'm going to come off this podcast, and live a perfect life. Make no mistakes. Because make no mistake, I'm going to make a mistake. Make no mistake, I'm going to do something that I did the last time that I said I wouldn't do this time. Make no mistake, I'm going to go and do something and go, Marsha, why? How? Come on. Make no mistake, because it's part of my human experience. Because I am still learning. Perfection is not a human trait. Perfection is not for us. That perfection is not what humanity does. What we do is learn, adapt, assess, grow, develop, ascend. I don't know if it's in that order, but it's coming to me as it's coming to me, and I'm saying it as it comes to me. So to expect that in every single assessment, you are going to get it 100% right is unrealistic. And for the most part, the probability of that happening is, let me pull out my math. It's, because if you have to think about, we talk about life is stranger than art. We talk about, our lives seriously is more interesting and entertaining than anything that a screenwriter could come up with. Of course, they're taking people's lives and creating something from it. But I'm telling you, our lives has all the drama. It has all the drama. But if you were to you reflect and use the extended metaphor of these tests and these assessments, standardized tests across states and countries, and you draw that parallel to your own life, you know that there's a passing standard. Sometimes a passing standard, and I know in Texas, sometimes a passing standard is kind of low. And you're like, what now? Because you know why it's low? And when I say the passing standard, I'm talking about if you make 56% on this English test, that means you passed the test. The reason why or how they come up with that number is based on the performance of all of the candidates that have tested. That is one of the factors that they consider when they're coming up with these passing standards. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, all of us is struggling to pass the test. Collectively, we're struggling in certain areas. So some of us are barely passing. Well, we tiptoeing over that passing line. We barely. So if we want to get into, and this is another metaphor, higher education, we may have to do another assessment to see if we're actually ready for that phase of education, extended metaphor, that phase of our lives. Are we actually ready for what we're asking for? Yesterday, God knows, I really sat there and I asked myself, are you ready for the relationship you've been asking for? You said, Marsha, I am ready for my worthy partner, my worthy life partner. And I sat there yesterday and I questioned myself. Are you actually ready? Because I'm talking to some of these people and they're annoying me. Like, why are you still talking to me? Do I really want to invest? And as I was questioning myself, I realized what was happening. It's a moment that's assessing my own self to see if I'm ready for the next level, for the next step of what is to come in my human experience. So you do have to pay attention to that. So different assessments for the same subject to see your readiness, to see your area of growth. It's not always a negative. And sometimes we focus on the areas that we didn't get. But I think we should focus on what we did, the areas where we did progress. I've done a phenomenal job on healing from some of the things that hurt me and making the best of it and turning those life scars into something beautiful. I have. Not just through writing books and recording these podcasts or talking to other people. And currently I'm doing something else that I hope will help other people. I'm getting a certification and I'll tell you more about that because I don't really like to announce things until I'm done with it. That's just one of the things I do. So until it's like done or in motion, I don't actually like to talk about it prematurely. But I am working on something else. And I have to sit back, and sometimes I'm seriously hard on myself. I'm the hardest, I believe, on myself. So I can't have people in my life who's also going to beat me down because, honey, I do that well by myself. So it's important for me to look on the progress I've made, and I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing. I don't know what situation you're in right now, where you are wondering, how did I get here? In fact, you may realize how you got there because you're like, I overlooked all those signs. They were glaring. Sometimes those signs are glaring us in our faces. And for whatever reason, at that stage in our lives, we overlooked them or we misunderstood them. We perceived them to be something they were not, and we didn't see them as they should have been seen, how we should have seen them. So going back to this show, and I'm watching this girl, and I'm thinking, like lots of women probably were thinking, lots of women who've been in similar situations were thinking, girl, what you doing? Do you not see how this is going to turn out? Because I could see it. So when it did happen, I'm like, how are you surprised? Sister, how are you surprised? Have you not? And so whatever situation you're in now, you might be that person where you're beating up on yourself. Sister, how did you not see the signs? How did you overlook it? What were you thinking? Sometimes you saw what you saw, not because you're silly or dumb or naive. It's because you didn't have enough experience to interpret what you were seeing. You didn't have enough information to understand what you were seeing. So you saw one thing, the rest of us saw another because we have some experiences and we're trying to tell you, or they were trying to tell you, but you can't see. You're looking through a different lens because up until that point, you didn't have enough experiences, enough information to help you interpret or decode what you were seeing. What you were seeing, like what those people were doing, what you were getting involved in, you couldn't see it. And part of you may have had a tingling, but the other part of us is our ego. See, sometimes our egos put us in situations that we just cannot handle. We just believe that it's going to be different with us. Yeah, that person did that to that person, but they'll never do it to me. And we believe that, and we've convinced ourselves of that. And I don't know if it's because we don't have enough information or experience. Because sometimes I think we do. Sometimes I think we've observed enough other people going through that, even if we haven't gone through it ourselves. But our ego tells us it's going to be different this time. And while our ego, I will never demonize the ego. I think it's there and it serves a purpose to protect us. And I think it's also that part of us that boosts our confidence to help us do things we wouldn't usually do. So the ego serves a purpose. And I will talk more about that on another podcast. I think I've even written a blog about it. I know a lot of us demonize the ego part of us. I will not do that because it is useful and actually quite underrated. However, sometimes we allow the unmanaged parts of us to make all the decisions, all the serious decisions in our life. Sometimes we're making parts of ourselves make those decisions that shouldn't. That just shouldn't. Making serious life decisions from an indisciplined, unmanaged, uncontrolled part of ourselves. Can't do that because we're always going to reap the consequences of that. And it's never good. I won't say never because I don't like to talk in absolutes. I said I don't like to talk now because I've learned some things. It's best not to do that, but it rarely works out when we allow our lust and uncontrolled, indisciplined parts of ourselves to make life decisions, to make decisions that govern our lives. That really works out well for us. So sometimes it's not because you don't have enough information. It's not that you don't have enough experience. It's just that you're coming from a place of, well, it's going to be different with me. That's my best Texan accent. Don't judge me. Yeah, you're coming from a place of you think it's going to be different. And sometimes it is different with you. But sometimes if it barks like a dog, it is a dog. A dog. If it quacks like a duck, it is a duck. And I know sometimes you see the mooing and you want to call that a chicken. And you see the snake and you want to call it an eagle. So sometimes you see all the characteristics and you want to convince yourself, no, it's not that. It has to be this, because that's what you want it to be. You want it to be all of that with all of your heart. You want those things that you see, those characteristics, those behaviors, those treatments, those attitudes, them not returning your calls, not returning your text messages, ignoring you, saying things to your face, behind your back, not doing this, not doing that, not showing up, not supporting you. You want to turn that into something else. You want to romanticize it, but you would do so at your own detriment because that rarely works out. Again, if it quacks like a duck, more than likely it is a duck. If it barks like a dog, more than likely it's a dog. Try all you may to make that meow into a lion. You might not be able to do that. And some of us invest our time and energy trying to convert a lizard into an eagle. We spend a whole bunch of time trying to turn something that isn't into something that we want it to be. Not because it doesn't have the potential to be whatever. It's because we want it to be. Because we want it to be. Sometimes the potential that you're looking for is not there. So you have to go with the signs that you see. You have to go with the signs that you see and make decisions based on that, not based on what you don't see. So as I watched, and when I tell you I binge watched that thing till 1 a.m. this morning. I had to literally force myself to turn the TV off. I'm a big fan of Nollywood right now. I am a big fan of Nollywood. There's some productions that are just amazing and some storylines that really resonate with me. And this series did. And, everything it's in timing. Right now, it's a timing and it works well for me right now. So I'm going to leave with this. Life is cyclical. And we have to be grateful when the cycles come back around, because it's an opportunity to redeem ourselves. It's an opportunity to get on the bus that will take us to the next stage of our lives. It's an opportunity for us to go higher, to ascend to the next phase of our human experience. So while it's tempting to be resentful that this test is showing up again, why am I getting this test question yet again? Metaphor. We should be grateful and practice gratitude that test question, that assessment, that cycle, that opportunity has shown up once again to give us a chance to correct what we didn't get right the first time or the second time, the time before. It's given us an opportunity to get it right so that we can actually get to the place of life that we want to be. We are stuck in these cycles because we refuse to learn the lessons, or we are misaligned with the values that are coming from those lessons. So in those moments, it's again another opportunity to be grateful, because this is actually for your good. It's actually for your good. It's actually showing up. Think about a bus. If the bus doesn't come to that bus stop, you're not going anywhere unless you plan on walking, which is going to be a long time. And let's put it this way. Say you are in Texas and you need to get to France. There's no bus that's going to take you there. There's no bus that's going to do that. You're going to have to get on an airplane or you're going to have to get on a ship. So when those vehicles come around, it's your opportunity to move. It's your opportunity. That's your transportation to the next stage, to the next level, to the next experience of your life. It is all showtime. This is not a rehearsal. This is all showtime. Every moment of every day is showtime. It's showtime. So when those opportunities show up, when that bus comes again, when that airplane comes again, it's your opportunity to move. So I know it doesn't feel good. I know it doesn't feel good. I know it doesn't feel good. I know it does not feel good that you feel like you're in the same stage again, the same cycle again. You've been here before with someone else. I get it. And I know that feels like, what? How comes? Me? Why? Again? I've done so much work. Why is this happening to me again? It's happening so you can move to the next level. You cannot stay where you are and get to the next level. So this is your transport. This is your vehicle to get from this point to the next point. So be grateful. So be grateful. So be grateful. And in this moment, become more disciplined. If that means you need to take a week away from all distractions, social media, WhatsApp, distractions, if that means in a week, and I will challenge you to do that, cut out the distractions. Start implementing some good replacements. Getting up, juicing, your favorite fruit juice. Juice that. Meditate for 20 minutes. Or go work out. Or go walk. Go cycle. Go run. Become productive on something you want to do, whether it's for work, for your own business, or just recreationally for your hobby. Become present with your children, with your partner. Become present with your family members, the people who are actively there, your support system, your network. Become present. Be active. Get out in nature. Get out in air. And realize this is not a rehearsal. But right now, it's your opportunity, your chance to move from this place of stagnancy into a place of elevation. This is your time. It is now. If you want to pass this test, you have to become disciplined. If you want this assessment to be the most useful for you, you have to use all that you've learned. You actually have to put it in action. Because some of us are good at theory parts of a test, but not the practical parts of a test. We can talk about it, but when it's time to be about it, that's where we struggle. This is the time where you put all that talking to the test. This is where you become the doing. This is the time for you to be about it, so you can get from this point to the next. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this episode was beneficial to you. And I hope with everything within me, because I am in the same situation as you, that this is the opportunity, this is the test, this is the phase, this is the vehicle that will help you to get to the next step of your human experience. The next step where life is a lot softer, where life is a lot more vibrant, more colorful, more enjoyable, more satisfying, more romantic, more loving, more supportive than it's ever been for you. I hope that this is the time This is the opportunity that will help you to ascend to the next level of your human experience. I'm wishing you the best, as I hope you're wishing me the best. And we will talk soon. So until next time, this is Marsha Kerr Talley. Have a great day.